All right, what's going on, you guys? Brian here with an AEW Collision and AEW Rampage recap, recapping everything that went down on both shows tonight. Both Rampage and, or I should say, both Collision and Rampage were live from the site of tomorrow night's AEW Full Gear, the Kia Forum in Los Angeles, California. So here is what went down. Of course, like I mentioned, Full Gear 2023 happens tomorrow night. In the opening segment of AEW Collision, which was 2 hours long, it we saw, or we heard from the TNT champion Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne, who all three have a huge six-man tag team match tomorrow night, as they will do battle with the Icon Sting, Darby Allin, and the Rated R superstar Adam Copeland. Christian was basically the one talking about the match tomorrow night, as well as the four-way that was going to be taking place on the episode of Collision, where the winner would face Christian Cage for the TNT Championship on Rampage, which was immediately following Collision. And that four-way featured Trent Beretta, who wound up winning the match, Brian Cage, Commander, and Penta El Zero Miedo. So I'll get into that in just a moment. We also heard tonight on Collision from the AEW World Tag Team Champions Big Bill and Ricky Starks, talking about tomorrow night's four-way tag team title match, which is now going to be a ladder match. So it's going to be Big Bill and Ricky Starks defending their AEW Tag Team Championships against Roosh and Juralistico of La Facción Ingernable, FTR, and the Kings of the Black Throne, Malachi Black and Brody King, in a four-way ladder match tomorrow night at Full Gear. We also saw Miro in action as he defeated Daniel Garcia. I'll tell you right now, I have been very impressed with Daniel Garcia recently in the world title match he had against MJF, recently on Dynamite, and tonight on Collision against Miro. I'm actually impressed with that guy. I think he's, say what you want about him, with the dancing and stuff, but I think he really he's been given a good showing recently on AEW television. So moving on, we heard from Andrade El Idolo and his manager CJ Perry. We saw, I mentioned earlier, the Kings of the Black Throne, Malachi Black and Brody King. They were in action and they literally destroyed the boys that were with Dalton Castle. We saw a video package talking about the TBS championship match happening tomorrow night at Full Gear between the current champion Chris Statlander, Julia Hart, and Sky Blue. I mentioned the four-way match that was going to determine who was going to face Christian Cage on the episode of Rampage that would follow Collision, as it was Trent Beretta defeating Brian Cage, Commander, and Penta El Zero Miedo. We heard from Don Callis and Powerhouse Hobbs talking about what Powerhouse Hobbs did to Paul White this past Wednesday night on Dynamite when he body slammed him onto the hood of a car, through a windshield and hood of a car. We saw Wardlow in action as he won his match via referee stoppage. Dax Harwood and Roosh competed against each other in a one-on-one match that ended with Big Bill and Ricky Starks getting involved, Then here comes Cash Wheeler to help out Dax. Malachi Black and Brody King came down. So did Preston Vance and Dralistico. So to add fuel to the 4-way ladder match happening tomorrow night. We saw Buddy Matthews in action. He defeated Wheeler Yuta, and after the match, Buddy Matthews was going to go after Wheeler Yuta with a steel chair, but Claudio Castagnoli came down to make the save, and Buddy did not even do anything. And then Claudio would issue a challenge for Full Gear tomorrow to Buddy Matthews that Buddy would accept. So I believe it's going to be taking place on the 0 hour pre-show before Full Gear. It's going to be Buddy Matthews versus Claudio Castagnoli tomorrow night. We saw a video package for the AEW International title match tomorrow night between the champion Orange Cassidy and Jon Moxley. We saw the TBS champion Chris Statlander and the AEW Women's World Champion Hikaru Shida. They were in tag team action against the Outcasts, Ruby Soho and Saraya, and it was Chris Statlander and Hikaru Shida picking up the win in that one. And then to end the show, we heard from the AEW World Champion MJF talking about his big title defense tomorrow night against Jay White, talking about how he's been feeling being the longest reigning AEW World Champion and all that stuff. So that concluded AEW's Collision. Now it's on to AEW Rampage. We saw in the opening match, it was Christian Cage successfully defending the TNT Championship against Trent Beretta. We saw Toni Storm picking up a win over Emi Sakura. We had a backstage segment involving Eddie Kingston, the Ring of Honor World Champion, and Jay Lethal setting up a match for the pre-show tomorrow night before Full Gear, in which Jay Lethal will challenge Eddie Kingston for the Ring of Honor World Championship. Then we saw Roderick Strong in action. He defeated Action Andretti. And then to end the show, we heard from the challenger for the AEW World title tomorrow night, Jay White, that would turn into MJF attacking him, and that it would lead to where it would end up in the ring where MJF was going after Jay White, but then here come the Guns, Austin and Colton. It would be a 3-on-1 until Samoa Joe made the save, and it would end with Joe and MJF shaking hands. So it looks like it's going to be Samoa Joe joining MJF tomorrow night when MJF is supposed to defend the AEW or the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles on the pre-show against the Guns. So it looks like it's going to be Samoa Joe being his tag team partner. So that was pretty much it for that. So both shows, 3 hours. AEW Collision was 2 hours. Rampage was an hour. Of course, both Rampage, I believe I think Collision airs on Saturdays, but because Full Gear is tomorrow night, they decided to make it both shows live tonight. So I really enjoyed both shows. There was a lot of people building momentum heading into tomorrow night, and matches that were added to the show, which I'm going to make my predictions right now. I predict that Claudio Castagnoli is going to defeat Buddy Matthews tomorrow night on the pre-show, and then I think Eddie Kingston will remain Ring of Honor World Champion. So that is pretty much it for that. Um, so yeah, I honestly I watched 3 hours of AEW television tonight. I enjoyed it. Like I said, there was a lot of things build towards tomorrow night at Full Gear. So, with that in mind, this has been my AEW Collision and AEW Rampage recap. As always, I am Brian, and I will see you next time. See ya.